So today I'm speaking to Martin Tod, who is, I was going to say PPC for Winchester, but we're actually in the long campaign now, so parliamentary candidate for Winchester for the Lib Dems. How are you doing, Martin?
Not bad.
Good, good. We've just actually a couple of days having come back from the Lib Dem Spring Conference, where I was, and I know you were as well. I just wondered how you found it.
I was only there for a bit of it because I had an event in Winchester on a Saturday, so I only arrived at sort of 5 o'clock on Saturday. But I enjoyed the rest of it. Good fringe on Saturday night, and then I thought Sunday morning was particularly productive, actually, because we had the excellent debate, albeit somewhat one-sided, on the digital economy bill. Then I had a chance to speak about green jobs, which is a particular passion of mine. And then I thought Nick, despite his cold, was just what we needed with his leader's speech.
Yeah, good stuff. I wondered how the campaign in Winchester's going.
Well, it's been quite a long campaign. I mean, both myself and my opponent were selected over 3 years ago. It's probably best to look at it over that time. And when I took over, I think we just got 30% of the vote in the local elections. We lost control of the council. We'd obviously had a bit of a rough year in 2006. Since then, we've built the vote every year. There's been a swing from both the Conservatives and Labour towards us. 2008 were the best local election results for 11 years. In 2009, we got better county council election results than we did on polling day in 2005. So 6 out of 7 county divisions. So we're in quite good shape. Our membership, well, I believe we're the largest local party in the country, although I know Oxford, West and Abingdon is doing their best to try and relieve us of that title. In terms of in what shape we're in good shape. And then our campaigning has been going very well on the ground. I've been getting quite a lot done, quite a lot of high profile things in the media, but also quite a lot of high profile achievements, which is perhaps slightly more important.
You're quite well known, well, within the party at least, for being quite tech savvy. I think, if I remember correctly, you actually wrote the Flock Together software. Is that right?
I did. I was the founding chair of Lib Dems Online about 1998 or something.
Right. Okay. Well, that's quite a long-term thing for technology like that. Then, how are you finding use of it as part of your campaign? Kind of technology and tools, online tools generally.
There's kind of two sides of it. There's the public side and the organisational side. And I've always had a slight bias towards making sure that the organisational side is working properly. I mean, there are some tools we're using, like the online petition tool, and a lot of the sort of research tools, survey tools we use, although not necessarily in the way they were originally intended. We use the party survey website a lot for data entry, for example. It's quite good for that. You can get a lot of data entered by people around the constituency. And that's something we've looked at quite hard in Winchester in terms of collaborative working. For example, we've moved the martintod.org.uk, apart from the main website, has moved to the Google Apps system, and we use that as the main tool for running our internal operations. And it means that it's very easy for people anywhere in the constituency to work on things. We have a shared photo library, we have a shared calendar, we have shared documents. So we can do an awful lot to collaborate and work together. Obviously, we communicate with our members a lot.
What about some of the more kind of social media stuff, Facebook, Twitter, that kind of thing?
Yeah, we're very, very early into Twitter and Facebook, and I've got a lot of local followers. And I think I've got over 900 followers in total, and a lot of those are local. That certainly worked quite well. We've got members and support, and we've picked up stories and things like that out of it. Facebook. The thing with Facebook is, and blogs to some degree, is it's very easy to quite quickly be followed by loads of people in the party around the country, but that doesn't win you elections. And what we've found is that sort of more focused campaigning activity on Facebook has been much more productive in terms of reaching out to local voters as opposed to reaching out to ourselves.
I know that one thing that some candidates that I've spoken to have said is that they're reluctant to blog and tweet either at all or too much because they are concerned that their opponents will, use perhaps slightly unguarded comments against them. Is that something that you found as well? I was having a look to see on your blog recently, and it doesn't seem to have been updated very frequently in, say, the last year or so.
No, it's partly time. There's a limit to how much time you have, and if I have an hour where I can write a press release and get it in the local media, or an hour where I write a blog post, I'll do the former, not the latter. And we're actually, I'm going to be changing the website so that it deliberately doesn't need so much updating. It's designed to do a slightly different purpose rather than the daily blog. I remember when I did a trip to the US when Ming was leader with some other people in the party to investigate how people were using the internet in the US and Canada. And they were all saying, the candidate can't blog, and because they won't have the time. Now, obviously, there are some people who like doing it and are able to do it. But, for example, when I ran Ming's leadership campaign, he didn't blog. The campaign blogged, and the campaign did stuff. But the campaign was sort of about him, and it was about recruiting supporters and enabling them to campaign on behalf of him, rather than him being on the internet. So Twitter I find easy to do, and it's quite low effort and low energy, and it's quite a good way of getting across who you are. Blogging, if I had time, I'd do it, but I quite literally don't have the time to do it, or don't have the time to do it very much. Right.
You're quite an outspoken proponent of electoral reform, and I just wondered what you think of Gordon Brown's policy on trying to get a referendum on the alternative vote, and also whether you would have voted for it if you'd have been an MP.
Well, I think my main feeling about it was so cynical. One of the things that is quite depressing at the moment about all the discussion to do with constitutional reform is how self-serving it is. David Cameron talks about eliminating a load of Labour seats, which effectively is what his proposal would mean. Gordon Brown comes up with something at the last moment. I don't know why he's come up with it. It's not out of deep conviction. He's had long enough to do that himself. In terms of how I'd voted on it, I haven't really thought about it, to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of AV. If anything, it's going to produce a less proportional result. The thing I like about it is it gets people numbering down, but I'm an STV man at heart, because I like the fact that people can choose between candidates of the same party. I like the fact that no seat is safe. I like the fact that it's more proportional than what we have at the moment. I wouldn't describe me as particularly outspoken on the subject. I've spoken about it at conference, but STV is what I'd want, and I haven't thought that deeply about it in terms of whether AV was a good step in the right direction. My fear would be that it might even discredit it. There have been occasions when people have put forward new voting systems for whatever reason, and then they've gone backwards afterwards. I think the Italians did that at one point.
And finally, would you like to say something nice about your Conservative opponent, Steve Bryan?
Yeah, he's perfectly, decent chap as far as I can tell. We have a very cordial relationship. We disagree. We don't hate each other. We just disagree with each other. And we've even proven ability to collaborate on things sometimes in the past where it's what's needed to get a particular result done. My difference between me and Steve is I disagree with him. I don't agree with what he and his party want to do for Winchester or for the country. It's not particularly personal, this election. It's about what's right for Winchester and what's right for the United Kingdom.
Okay. Martin, thank you very much for your time.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.